Have you ever wondered why you can eat a perfectly healthy breakfast and still feel exhausted, foggy, or even a little swollen? Just an hour later, I'm going to tell you something that might shock you, and honestly, it should. Because for millions of people, the biggest threat to their energy, their metabolism, and even their long-term health isn't sugar, it isn't carbs, and it isn't age. It's sitting right there in their refrigerator disguised as something harmless, comforting, even wholesome. And the truth is, what most people believe is real, butter hasn't been real for a very long time. You see, we've been told for years that butter is safe again, that as long as we avoid margarine and trans fats, we're fine. But that's the lie that keeps people sick. Because what many Americans are spreading on their toast every morning isn't butter at all. It's a chemical blend engineered to look like butter, smell like butter, melt like butter, while quietly overwhelming your gut, your hormones, and even the way your cells burn fat. And the worst part, these damaged fats don't leave your body quickly. They can stay trapped inside your cells for years, slowly reshaping your metabolism from the inside out. But here's the good news: once you understand what's really happening and what to replace it with, your body begins to bounce back faster than you think. Today, I'm going to show you the 5 butter imposters you should never ever bring into your home again, the 2 brands that actually support your health, and the simple ways to protect your energy, your gut, and your metabolism starting today. And as we move through this, I promise you'll start to see your breakfast and your health in a completely different way. So let's begin with the real question no one is asking, but everyone should be: what exactly is hiding inside the butter you think you can trust? The real problem most people face isn't that they're eating too much butter. It's that they're eating the wrong kind without even realizing it. And the consequences show up in ways people blame on age, stress, or a slow metabolism. If you've ever felt that strange heaviness after breakfast, the kind that pulls your energy down instead of lifting it up, that isn't normal. That's your body trying to fight something it was never designed to handle. And the reason it feels so familiar is because it's been happening quietly for years. You see, your cells are supposed to run on clean, stable fats, the kind your grandmother cooked with. But when you eat butter blends loaded with seed oils, your body gets hit with fats that break down the moment they're exposed to heat, light, or even oxygen. And here's where science becomes surprisingly simple. Oxidized fats behave like rust. Once they're in your system, they don't just pass through. They attach themselves to your cell membranes, stiffening them, blocking hormone signals, and slowing down the engines inside your cells that create energy. Suddenly, the morning fatigue makes sense. Your body is running on damaged fuel. One of the most eye-opening studies on this was published in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition. Researchers found that oxidized omega-6 fats, like the ones hiding in fake butter, can linger inside human tissue for up to 6 years. 6 years. That means the butter someone ate in 2019 might still be sitting inside their cells today, quietly rewriting how their metabolism behaves. And when I first learned this, it reminded me of a woman I once spoke with who couldn't understand why she felt exhausted every morning, despite eating what she thought was a clean, simple breakfast. It wasn't until she stopped using her favorite spreadable butter that her energy returned. Not because she changed her diet, just because she removed the problem. So what can you actually do right now today to protect yourself? Start by reading the label on the butter in your fridge. If it says spreadable with canola oil, blend vegetable oil, or lists anything other than cream and salt, it's not real butter. Set it aside and switch to true butter made from pure dairy fat. Even that one small change gives your cells the clean building blocks they need and stops the cycle of inflammation before it even starts. But here's where most people slip up without knowing it. They think using just a little bit of these blends is harmless. Yet even tiny amounts of oxidized fats still get absorbed into your membranes. Your body doesn't judge quantity, it only reacts to the quality of the fat. And once it's inside, your cells have to live with the damage. But knowing this alone isn't enough, because what comes next is even more dangerous, and it's the reason millions of people are being misled every single day. And once you understand that your morning fatigue isn't just aging, something else becomes painfully clear. Most people don't know where those damaged fats are coming from in the first place. They think it's the bread, the eggs, the coffee, or the carbs. But the real cause hidden in plain sight is the type of fat their body has to process before the day even begins. That's why so many people keep spinning in circles, trying new diets, cutting calories, skipping breakfast, and still feeling sluggish. They're treating the wrong problem. To understand what's really happening, imagine your cell membrane as a flexible door made of soft, healthy fat. Hormones like insulin, thyroid, and leptin knock on that door every second to deliver messages that control your energy and metabolism. But when you eat oxidized seed oils disguised as butter, that door becomes stiff, almost like someone painted it with glue. The hormones can still knock, but they can't get in. And the moment they can't get in, your body behaves as if it's under attack. It slows down energy, stores more fat, and cranks up inflammation. This isn't diet trouble. This is cell biology fighting against you. There's a study from the Journal of Lipid Research that proves this perfectly. Researchers found that even small amounts of oxidized omega-6 fats can trigger hormone resistance within hours, not days, not weeks, just hours. And that resistance stays until your cells rebuild themselves, which can take months depending on your diet. I remember talking to a man who couldn't lose belly fat no matter how much he exercised. His diet looked clean until he mentioned the light butter spread he used every morning because it seemed healthier. Removing that alone changed everything. Within 3 weeks, his energy improved, his cravings dropped, and for the first time in years, his waistline actually began to shrink. So what can you do right now to stop this cycle? Start by choosing fats that stay stable under heat and light. Pure butter, ghee, or even a small amount of olive oil in your morning routine keeps your cell membranes flexible. That's what allows your hormones to communicate the way they're supposed to. Your body isn't asking for perfection, it's asking for clean fuel. But here's the trap many people fall into. They think alternating between real butter and fake butter is good enough. It's not. Your cells don't work like a light switch. They can't turn off inflammation every time you switch brands. One serving of oxidized fat is enough to interrupt hormone signaling for hours, sometimes the whole day. But knowing this alone isn't enough, because what's coming next reveals how the food industry has quietly rewritten the definition of butter and why millions of people are still being fooled without realizing it. And once you realize how easily hormone signaling can be disrupted, the next question becomes almost unavoidable. If these damaged fats are so harmful, then why are they still allowed in products labeled as butter? The uncomfortable truth is that most people trust the packaging far more than the ingredients. They see the word butter in bold letters and stop reading. And that's exactly how the food industry designed it. Because the real issue isn't just what's inside the tub, it's how skillfully the labels hide the truth. Here's what most people never notice: butter has a legal definition. In the United States, it must contain at least 80% milk fat. Anything less isn't butter at all. But companies have learned how to dance around the rules by creating blend spreads or whipped butter that look almost identical to the real thing while being loaded with seed oils, emulsifiers, and flavor additives. These ingredients help them cut costs, increase shelf life, and make the product melt faster, which sounds harmless until you realize your body pays the price instead of the manufacturer. And this deception is so subtle that even well-intentioned shoppers fall for it every single day. One of the most revealing investigations came from consumer labs that tested multiple brands across different states. Some products labeled as butter didn't meet the 80% fat requirement, not even close. A few sampled products contained as little as 60% dairy fat. The rest was made up of soybean oil, sunflower oil, or natural flavors, which often hide seed oil carriers. I once spoke to a viewer who swore she had been buying clean butter for years, only to discover that the natural flavor in her favorite brand came from a sunflower oil base. She switched brands the same week, and within days, the bloating and heaviness she woke up with every morning started to fade. So how do you protect yourself from this kind of marketing trap? Don't trust the front label. Flip the package over. Real butter has 2 ingredients, cream and salt. That's it. When you see 5, 6, or 7 additives, or anything that mentions vegetable oils, canola, soybean, mono and diglycerides, or natural flavors, you're not holding butter. You're holding a chemical blend engineered to pass as butter. But here's the mistake so many people make: they assume that a little seed oil in their butter won't matter. But your metabolism doesn't judge ingredients by volume, it reacts to structure. Even a small amount of oxidized oil woven into your food is enough to disturb your cells' communication pathways. But knowing this alone isn't enough, because the next factor is even more dangerous, and it explains why so many people think they're doing everything right yet still feel worse with every passing year. And once you see how easily the food industry bends the rules, the next layer of the problem becomes even clearer. Even if you manage to buy real butter, it can still turn harmful if you're using it the wrong way. This is something most people never think about, yet it affects their body every single day. Because the real issue isn't just what you buy at the store, it's what happens to that butter in your kitchen before it ever reaches your plate. And for many people, this hidden mistake is the reason their digestion feels heavy, their stomach feels inflamed, and their energy suddenly dips right after eating. Here's where the science makes everything snap into focus. Butter is incredibly sensitive to heat, light, and oxygen. When it sits out on the counter for hours or worse days, those healthy fats start oxidizing, forming the very same unstable molecules your cells are desperately trying to avoid. Imagine leaving a fresh apple on the counter until it browns. The same thing happens to butter, except you can't see it. The damage is invisible, but once those fats break down, they slip into your body and behave like tiny sparks that inflame your gut lining and interrupt hormone signaling. Suddenly, the healthy breakfast you thought you were eating becomes the very thing that drains your energy. One of the clearest examples came from a viewer who emailed me about her constant bloating. She had already switched to real butter, bought the right brand, even checked every ingredient. But when I asked where she kept it, she said, "Oh, I leave it on the counter so it spreads easier." The moment she stopped doing that, no new diet, no supplements, no complicated protocol, her bloating dropped by more than half in just a week. That's how quickly your body reacts when you remove the stress it's been carrying for years. So what should you do instead? Keep your butter in the refrigerator in its original wrapper or an airtight container. Take out only the amount you need, let it soften naturally on your plate for a minute, and then put the rest back. It may seem like a tiny habit change, but the difference you feel can be enormous. And if you cook at higher temperatures, switch to GHG, because removing the milk solids protects the fat from burning, helping your body stay calm instead of inflamed. But here's the trap many people fall into. They think storing butter in a cute ceramic dish on the countertop is harmless or old-fashioned comfort. They don't realize that every hour it sits out in the open, the fats inside it slowly break down, turning something healthy into something your cells experience as stress. But knowing this alone isn't enough, because there's another factor even more dangerous, and it determines whether your metabolism heals or keeps falling apart without you noticing. And once you understand how storing butter the wrong way can quietly sabotage your gut and metabolism, you start to see the next hidden problem that almost everyone overlooks. Even when people finally switch to clean, real butter, they keep eating the wrong fats everywhere else in their diet. And that single habit can cancel out all the progress they're trying to make. Because the truth is, your body doesn't just rebuild itself from the butter you eat, it rebuilds itself from every fat you consume throughout the day. And that's where things get dangerous without people noticing. Here's the part that surprises most viewers: your cells don't upgrade all at once. They rebuild piece by piece using whatever fat you give them at every meal. If you use real butter in the morning, but cook dinner with vegetable oil at night, your cells don't say, "Oh, let's only use the good fat." They mix both. And once the damaged oil gets mixed into your cell membranes, it behaves like a cracked brick inside a wall. It weakens the whole structure. That's why someone can clean up their breakfast but still feel inflamed, bloated, tired, or stuck at the same weight. The problem isn't the butter anymore, it's everything around it. A study published in Free Radical Biology and Medicine showed that even a single meal cooked with oxidized seed oils can raise inflammatory markers for up to 72 hours. 72 hours. That's 3 days of stress from one meal. And I remember talking to a man who was frustrated because he bought the best butter, the one everyone recommended. Yet nothing changed for him. His energy was flat, his digestion was unpredictable, and his waistline kept growing. But when I asked what oil he used for sautéing vegetables, he said, "Oh, just canola oil." It's supposed to be heart healthy, right? The moment he switched to ghee and olive oil, his entire body responded differently within weeks. So what can you do right now? Make a clean fat rule for yourself. Whatever fat you use to cook, spread, or season, make sure it's stable. Real butter. Ghee, olive oil for low to medium heat. Avocado oil if you need something higher heat. If you avoid seed oils everywhere else, your cells can finally rebuild with the clean fats you're giving them, instead of fighting an endless war against the damaged ones. But here's the mistake many people don't realize they're making. They believe that using only a little vegetable oil won't matter, or that it's okay if it's just in 1 or 2 meals a week. But damaged fats don't work like sugar or carbs. You can't burn them off with a walk or undo them with a healthy meal. Once they're woven into your membranes, your cells have to live with the consequences until they rebuild again. But knowing this alone isn't enough, because the next factor explains why even the cleanest diet can fail, and why your body may be holding on to inflammation far longer than you think. And once you understand how the fats you use throughout the day shape your cells, something even more important begins to surface. Your body can't repair itself if it never gets the chance to clear out the damage that's already been done. And this is where most people unknowingly get stuck. They switch to clean butter, remove seed oils, change their cooking habits. But they forget that their cells are still holding years of oxidized fats trapped inside their membranes. It's like replacing the roof on a house while the inside walls are still full of mold. You can't fully heal from the outside in. You have to let your body repair itself from the inside out. Here's the part most people never hear: your cells have a built-in self-cleaning mode, but it only turns on when you stop eating long enough for your body to shift from digestion to repair. It's called autophagy, and it acts like a recycling crew that removes damaged fats, broken proteins, and dysfunctional mitochondria. When autophagy switches on, your cells literally begin replacing the old rigid fats with new healthy ones. And this isn't complicated science, it's biology doing exactly what it was designed to do. But the modern eating schedule blocks this process for most people. Eating from the moment they wake up until late at night keeps the body locked in digestion mode from sunrise to bedtime. One study published in Cell Metabolism found that even a simple 10-hour eating window, just compressing your meals into a shorter period of the day, can dramatically boost cellular cleanup and reduce oxidative stress. I once spoke with a woman who tried everything to fix her energy: new diets, superfood supplements. Nothing changed. But when she began giving her body a 14-hour overnight break, her morning heaviness melted away within 2 weeks. Not because she added anything new, but because she finally stopped interrupting her body's ability to repair itself. So what can you do right now? Start with an eating window that feels realistic, like 10 a.m. to 8 p.m., or even 11 a.m. to 7 p.m. Let your body have those quiet hours at night to reset and repair. Combine that with hydration, gentle movement, and clean fats, and your cells will begin rebuilding faster than you expect. And if you want to take this even further, adding sauna sessions can help your body release fat-soluble toxins through sweat, amplifying the benefits of autophagy. It doesn't have to be extreme. Even 2 or 3 sessions a week can make a noticeable difference. But here's where many people sabotage themselves without realizing it. They end their fasting window with low-quality oils, sugary spreads, or processed foods. And the moment they do, their cells stop repairing and go right back into inflammation mode. Your first meal after a fasting window sets the tone for the entire day, and most people accidentally break their fast with the exact foods that damage them. But knowing this alone isn't enough, because what comes next ties everything together and reveals the single decision that determines whether your metabolism finally heals or keeps breaking down year after year. And once you understand how autophagy and clean fats finally give your cells the chance to repair themselves, the final piece of the puzzle comes into view. None of this works if the fats you're feeding your body are still secretly damaging you. And this is the point where so many people unintentionally undo their progress. Not because they don't care, not because they're reckless, simply because the food industry has made it almost impossible to tell what's real and what's quietly poisoning your metabolism. The deeper truth is that your body depends on the fats you eat to rebuild every single cell membrane, every hormone receptor, every mitochondrial wall, which means choosing the right fat isn't just a health tip, it's a biological upgrade your body depends on. At the cellular level, your membranes act like fluid skin, allowing hormones and nutrients to slide in smoothly. But certain fats make those membranes rigid, as if you're building them out of cracked cement instead of flexible material. Oxidized seed oils, especially the ones hiding in fake butter, are the worst offenders. They harden your cell membranes, block hormone messages, and force your metabolism into a survival mode. You can feel low energy, stubborn fat cravings, brain fog. Meanwhile, real grass-fed butter and ghee provide the opposite effect: healthy saturated fats that rebuild your cells with strength, flexibility, and resilience. This isn't hype, it's basic physiology. You don't just eat fat, your body becomes it. A stunning study published in the Journal of Nutritional Biochemistry found that people who replaced seed oils with stable saturated fats saw measurable improvements in hormone sensitivity and mitochondrial function in just weeks. And I'll never forget a man who wrote to me saying he felt broken inside, no energy, no focus, constant bloating. He switched from a butter blend to real grass-fed butter and ghee, and within a month he felt like someone had turned the lights back on. Not because butter is magic, but because his cells finally had the materials they needed to function again. So what should you do now? Start choosing fats that strengthen your cells rather than stress them. If the label says blend spreadable with canola or contains natural flavors, put it back. Look for butter with only cream and salt. Choose ghee for high-heat cooking and olive oil or avocado oil for gentle sautéing. The cleaner the fat, the cleaner the signals your hormones can send, and the faster your metabolism can recover. But here's where people slip up without realizing it. They make one great choice, but let one small mistake erase the progress. They clean up their fats, and then grab a processed snack cooked in seed oil. They buy real butter, and then use store-bought sauces made with soybean oil. They cook with ghee, but order takeout fried in vegetable oil. And their cells have no choice but to absorb those damaged fats, again restarting the cycle. But knowing this alone isn't enough, because the next factor is the turning point, what separates the people who heal their metabolism from the people who stay stuck for years. And once you understand how every fat you choose becomes the material your cells are forced to build themselves, from the final piece of truth hits even harder. Your metabolism isn't just reacting to what you're eating today, it's reacting to the fats your cells were built with years ago. And this is why so many people feel stuck even when they're doing everything right. They clean up their diet, switch to real butter, avoid seed oils, drink more water, even try fasting. Yet they still feel inflamed, still struggle with weight, still wake up tired. It's not because they're failing, it's because their cells are still carrying the scars of old choices. Here's the science: most people never hear the fats in your cell membranes have a half-life of about 2 years. That means half of the damaged fats you've eaten in the past are still inside you right now. And it takes up to 6 years for your body to fully replace the old oxidized fats with healthy ones if you give your cells the right materials consistently. You're not rebuilding your metabolism in days or weeks. You're rebuilding it brick by brick, membrane by membrane, hormone receptor by hormone receptor. And when people don't understand this, they expect overnight miracles, then blame themselves when they don't see instant results. I once heard from a woman who felt completely defeated because she had cleaned up her diet for 3 months and still felt stuck. Her energy was slow, her stomach still bloated, and her mood unpredictable. But when she learned how long cellular turnover actually takes, everything shifted for her. She said, "For the first time, I realized I wasn't failing. My cells were finally catching up." 3 months later, she wrote back to say her energy felt steady for the first time in 10 years, and her cravings had disappeared almost overnight. Not because she worked harder, but because she finally understood that cellular healing is a marathon, not a sprint. So what can you do to help your body during this long rebuilding phase? Stay consistent with clean fats. Make your first meal of the day your cleanest meal. Support your mitochondria with hydration, minerals, sunlight, and movement. And above all, don't panic if progress feels slow. Slow progress in cellular biology is still progress. Because every day you avoid seed oils, every day you choose butter, ghee, and stable fats, you're helping your cells rebuild a little more of what they lost years ago. But here's the mistake that stops people right at the threshold of recovery. They expect their body to feel better the moment they stop eating seed oils. They don't realize their metabolism needs time to shed the damaged fats and replace them with clean ones. And because they don't feel immediate results, they give up right before the real healing begins. But knowing this alone isn't enough, because what comes next is the breakthrough moment. The part that shows you exactly how to choose the right butter, avoid the hidden traps, and finally rebuild a metabolism that works with you, not against you. And by the time you understand how slow and steady cellular repair really is, there's one final truth that brings everything together. None of the healing matters if you're unknowingly choosing the wrong butter to begin with. And this is the trap that catches almost everyone. Not because they aren't reading labels, not because they don't care, but because the food industry has mastered the art of making fake butter look clean, simple, and even healthy. And if you don't know what to look for, it's almost impossible to tell the difference. The reality is this: the two words most people trust, natural and spreadable, are the two words that cause the most damage. Because anything spreadable straight from the fridge isn't real butter. Anything with natural flavor almost always hides a seed oil carrier. And anything that melts too quickly or smells too mild has usually been processed to the point where your cells no longer recognize it as real food. When your body takes in these fake oxidized fats, it doesn't just disrupt your metabolism for a day, it sets back the healing process your cells have been fighting for weeks. One of the most revealing moments came from a man who swore he had been using the purest butter on the shelf. The packaging looked clean, the branding looked natural, and the marketing made it sound like a farm-to-table product. But when he flipped it over, he finally noticed the ingredient that explained everything: vegetable oil blend. He switched to real grass-fed butter the same week, and for the first time in years, his digestion calmed down, his cravings dropped, and even his sleep improved. Not because he changed his diet, just because he finally stopped feeding his cells the ingredient that had been poisoning them slowly. So let me give you the simplest rule that protects your metabolism instantly. Real butter has two ingredients: cream and salt. That's it. No canola oil, no soybean oil, no lecithin, no natural flavors, no emulsifiers. And if you want the cleanest, highest cell-supporting options, grass-fed butter or ghee gives your body the raw materials it needs to rebuild mitochondria, strengthen gut lining, and restore hormone sensitivity. This isn't a trend. It's the biological foundation your cells depend on every single day. But here's the mistake that still takes people down the wrong path. They treat butter like a flavor instead of a building block. They think a teaspoon doesn't matter. They think a blend isn't that bad. They think a little seed oil won't hurt. But every gram of fat becomes part of your cellular structure. Every gram. And the more consistently you choose the right fats, the faster your metabolism wakes up, strengthens, and begins working the way it was meant to. But knowing this alone isn't enough, because the final message I'm about to share is the one thing that can truly change your entire relationship with food, and it's the bridge that leads us directly into the conclusion of this video. When you choose real butter, protect your cells from damaged fats, and stay consistent with clean choices, your metabolism finally has the chance to calm inflammation, rebuild stronger membranes, and support healthier kidney function. Just a few simple shifts can completely change the way your body creates energy, digests food, and resets itself every single day. And I want you to remember something: your body's not broken, it's rebuilding. Every clean choice you make is a message to your cells that you're giving them another chance. Healing. Real healing doesn't always happen overnight, but it always happens faster when you nourish your body with the right tools and the right care. No matter how long you've struggled, your cells can still respond, still repair, and still restore the health you deserve. If this video helped you, please take a moment to like it, save it so you can come back to these steps anytime, and subscribe to this channel for more evidence-based health information, especially if you're working to protect your kidneys and support your long-term well-being. And I'd love to hear from you in the comments: which part surprised you the most, or which change are you going to start today? Thank you for being here and for taking your health seriously. I'm honored to be part of your healing journey. Take care of yourself, stay consistent, and I'll see you in the next video.